This changes everything in Boston. After Craig Breslow approached Rafael Devers about possibly moving to first base, and Rafael Devers responded with some bombshell quotes, it seems like the Boston Red Sox have to enter the trade market once again to fill the void at first base. I'm here to break down the relatively consistent name that keeps coming up, including this past offseason for the Boston Red Sox, in order to fill that void at first base and get a trade going this regular season. We'll break down all of that, as it is a familiar name everyone will know and remember. But before we get to the news and information, please do remember to subscribe to the channel, as nearly 90% of you guys are not currently subscribed. We do appreciate the love and support, so thank you guys. But now let's get to it and break down a familiar name tied to Boston. Now, Nolan Arenado is the name that we will be discussing in this video, as a brand new report, a brand new article suggests that due to these conversations and due to all of this really drama surrounding Rafael Devers and not wanting to move to first base defensively, it seems like Craig Breslow is going to actually have to go out there and make a trade if the Red Sox want to move and really obtain some more talent at the first base position. Now, as it's currently constructed, Romy Gonzalez and Tristan Casas are the only two listed first basemen on MLB.com in the first baseman depth piece of the depth chart, I should say. But we all know Abraham Toro can also move over to first base and play some of the reps over at first. Now, whether or not he will be the every other day starter at first or everyday starter at first base is yet to be seen, as obviously he has not got a lot of reps, obviously offensively or defensively up to this point in the season. But again, another option in-house for the Boston Red Sox to go out there and use at first base, at least defensively. But we're going to be breaking down this article titled "Red Sox Rafael Devers Drama Could Open Door for Trade with Cardinals," and it goes on to say the Cardinals could help the Red Sox put an end to some drama. And then this is written by Kurt Bishop just a few hours ago. Now, this conversation, before we get into the depth of the actual article and what they're going to be breaking down, this is something that we've had this conversation before on this channel. It has been this conversation has happened amongst Red Sox Nation for just about 6 months, if you will, as Nolan Arenado has been available. The Cardinals were more than open about him being available. He shut down trades to the Houston Astros, as well as I believe a few other teams. But the Boston Red Sox were one of few teams he was more than willing to allow a trade to, because there is a trade clause in that contract. And again, he said no to the Astros. He has always been open and willing to move to Boston, as his name was circling around this Red Sox organization this past offseason, as the conversation of a possible right-handed bat to play third base before the acquisition of Alex Bregman. Nolan Arenado was a consistent name coming up in those conversations, because again, he is a phenomenal defensive third baseman, one of the best defensive third basemen, right next to Manny Machado, I have personally been able to watch with my own two eyes in my 25 years of living. But is he still that guy? Offensively, without a doubt, he is nowhere close to the same player we have seen in the past, back when he was with Colorado or in those opening years in St. Louis in 2021 and 2022, where he was very, very good, both offensively as well as defensively. I will say the offense is way, way down right now in St. Louis for Nolan Arenado, but the defense has remained very, very good. The range is in the top percentile of the entire league, as it has been for the last decade, if not longer, for Nolan Arenado, a platinum glove candidate year after year after year, because again, it's rare you don't see him in the top one, if not two, for the Gold Glove again for the last decade, year after year. Offensively, if you look, the batting average, expected WOBA, the hard hit rate, the barrel percentage, average exit velocity, all of the main factors when it comes to the offensive production are way, way down below league average based off this Baseball Savant page of this morning. There are a few things that he does very well. He does not strike out a lot. In correlation to that, he does not whiff on a lot. He chases at about a 50% clip, maybe just below that, as well as the base on balls percentage being just above league average, and the squared up rate is just above league average. So again, he's not putting a lot of bat to ball, but when he does, he's able to square it up. He's not striking out a lot, and again, he's not whiffing on a lot of pitches, allowing him to barrel up those baseballs. Now, the last thing I'm going to point out from his Baseball Savant page is the spray chart. In the top right of this graphic, you look at the spray chart, and if you just bear with me. He's another right-handed batter, good defensively. He's willing to move to first base. We'll break down that in just a second. Look at his spray chart. He loves hitting to left field. And because of that, I'm okay if the Red Sox went out there and made a move and obviously didn't get robbed at gunpoint or anything in that trade and were able to move some substantial pieces to bring back one piece in Nolan Arenado, because offensively, I think these numbers would boom in Fenway. I think for 81 of these games, of the regular season games, Nolan Arenado would be a problem at the plate, as well as just being a monster in the field as he has been for the entirety of his career. So to this article, the St. Louis Cardinals tried all offseason long to trade third baseman Nolan Arenado, but when the Red Sox signed Alex Bregman, those chances were dashed. Arenado is slashing .256, .342, and .395 with 3 home runs and 14 RBIs with a 738 OPS. It goes on to say the Red Sox had interest in Arenado, but ultimately chose Bregman, leaving the Cardinals stuck with their star third baseman. A bit weird in the verbiage there, in the sense that you were stuck with Nolan Arenado. He's a great player. Obviously, offensively, he has not been the Nolan of years past, but defensively, he is still a Gold Glove candidate, like we mentioned earlier, year after year. And he's a veteran type of piece. He's a leader. He's a leader in the clubhouse. He's extremely experienced on 2 different ball clubs in Colorado as well as St. Louis. And again, he has been nothing short of a professional athlete and a pro's pro at that. Now, the article would go on to say, with Tristan Casas out for the year, the Red Sox could potentially turn to the Cardinals for some help. Boston was on Arenado's list of teams he was willing to accept a trade to. The 8-time All-Star was even reportedly willing to move to first base to help facilitate a trade. This could open the door for the Cardinals to finally find a new home for Arenado. St. Louis is in the middle of a, quote, reset, that's a bit weird, while the Red Sox are trying to contend in 2025. With Devers unwilling to move and Casas out, the door could be open for the Cardinals and the Red Sox to make a trade. Now, few things. The fact that the Cardinals are, quote, in a reset is a bit weird. That's a damn good team to be considered in a reset, but it is what it is. Now, the idea that Nolan is open and willing to move to first base to allow this trade to happen is the biggest piece of all of this. The reason being is because obviously he's played his entire career at third base. He's as accomplished as he is at third base. And the fact that he wants to get out of St. Louis and he's willing to go to Boston as well as a few other teams, and in an attempt to help do so, he has openly said he's willing to move to first base defensively. And this is something that happened months ago back in the offseason, again, in hopes to land in Boston if it were to really accelerate that trade or help in any facet. Now, obviously, when the Red Sox acquired Bregman, everything went out the window as they went out and paid, and they did pay $40 million a year for their guy who's going to be a part of this team for years to come. But if you can go out and get Nolan Arenado to then replace someone in Tristan Casas who is not going to be there for the remainder of the season, while allowing Devers to move or allowed to stay at the position he has freshly moved to after, again, not wanting to, and then considered, hey, I'll be the team player here. Let me be the good guy. I don't want to be the bad guy with the target on my back who's always causing problems for this organization. This is good for the Red Sox. If they could actually go out there and get someone like Nolan Arenado for a cheaper price, this could be huge. Now, obviously, Nolan is still on that contract that he got back in Colorado before being traded to the St. Louis Cardinals just 2 years following. And is the price steep? Just a bit, about $21.5 million per year for the following 3 years. This year, the following year, and then in 2027 before becoming an unrestricted free agent in 2028. He has no more opt-outs remaining in this contract, so if the Red Sox did trade for him, he would be a part of this Red Sox organization until they obviously DFA'd him or again then traded him once again. Now, whether or not that would happen, we'd have to see even if they trade for him and how he ends up producing. But I think based off the defensive abilities we have seen from someone in Nolan Arenado, not only this year but for a decade past, I think this would be a great trade. Back in the offseason, I was opposed to it. I thought players like Alex Bregman as well as others were available and a lot better fit to Boston, especially with the age being brought into it and the overall experience. Yes, Nolan is much older, now 34 years of age, and the bat has desperately gone away. But if you look at the spray chart and you take him and put him in Fenway, we could see the Bregman effect. Bregman, obviously, a 1,100 OPS up to his career, through his 7-year career playing with Houston when they played in Fenway Park. Again, 1,100 OPS, only second or third all-time behind some legendary players, legendary names. Then he comes to Boston, and he has simply been phenomenal, especially as of late. If you have not been watching it, look up what he's slashing over the last 30 days. He is probably one of the best hitters in all of baseball, specifically in Fenway. When he's in Fenway and everyone else is playing wherever they are, he is up there in a class of very, very few. Now, is it just straight power numbers like Aaron Judge? No, but the overall ability to put bat on the ball, hit it off the green monster, end up on second, hit it over the wall when it does happen. His overall ability to get on base and drive in runs has been second to none on this Red Sox team up to this point. And I think if, based off Nolan's spray chart, at least through this season, very much a pull hitter. You put a right-handed batter who loves to pull the ball in Fenway, we could see great results. Not only a defensive upgrade, but as well as possibly a complimentary bat who's been there and done that, not only in the regular season, but in the postseason. Let me know down below what you guys think about this possible acquisition via massive trade for the Boston Red Sox in Nolan Arenado, and I will see you guys on the next one.